Welcome to the next interview that I'm doing. And today we have Kevin Chip, the squad CO of the team, the Patriots. Welcome, Chip.
Hey, Don. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Okay, we start off with the first question, which is like, how did you get started in airsoft?
Well, it was about 2005. Uh, I wanted to get into something new. I wanted to get into wargaming because I was a PC player, and I got into wargaming there. But I wanted to do something more active, and I thought I'd be getting into paintball. But by chance, my buddy came over one day, and he had an MP5, an airsoft replica MP5, and I thought that was really cool, and I wanted to get into something like that. I found an airsoft shop out in Washington, Spokane, Washington. It was Precision Airsoft, and at that time there was only three guns to purchase, or three brands to purchase from. There was ICS, there was TM, and Classic Army, and I ended up purchasing a TM G36, which I still have to this day. And then the next step was looking for somewhere to play, and I found a place in Lamar, Pennsylvania, which is about maybe 2.5 hours, 2 hours 45 minutes from me, in the middle of Pennsylvania, in a place called EAG, Extreme Action Gaming, and that was like my introduction to airsoft. And they had it was a smaller field, maybe about like 20 acres or so, but the outfit was exactly what I was looking for. It was um it was one of those. It was people that were just trying to do almost like military training. Like it was like the start of Milsim, and their time structures for their games was very exact. If you were late, you didn't get to play that evolution or that mission. Um, they held their participants to a degree of standard, because the game is honor, and that was like my introduction to the game, and so that's what I always thought it was going to be, and that's still how I play to today.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Yep.
Uh, the next question, and that actually leads into the next question.
Mhm.
How and why did you get into the role you play now? Like your squad CO of a team called the Patriots. How did that come about? That's what the question's about.
Uh, well, I was looking for someone to play with, so there was no one to play with in our area, at least what I thought. And the big social media platform of the day was MySpace. So at that time, scoured MySpace for people to play with. I scoured boards, like big giant boards that had specific areas on their board for Pennsylvania, trying to see if there was anybody in our area that played. That's when I created NEPA Airsoft. That started life out as a MySpace page. And then as time grew, I found different groups in our sort of local area, and we all got together at different fields that we played at. And there was really no sanctioned fields that we played at the time. There was more of just backyard airsofting.
Mm.
And where we were playing was Concord City. And then in 2007, I met up with a buddy of mine, James Dublin, on the team, who was part of the Patriots. He was the original CO, actually. We got together. We said, well, you have a team and I have a team. I only have really one other guy, but it was a team at that time. And we put our teams together. His was Red Square Airsoft, and mine was American Patriots. So it became Patriot Squad. From there, that's where we started. And then as time grew, or time went on, we grew, and he ended up leaving, and I took over the CEO role.
Tell you what, it was a fortuitous for me meeting you at the one place that we were working together, and you introducing me
Mhm.
to airsoft. Because up until that point, I had played paintball for years, and then
That,
you introduced me to airsoft, and that was like history from then on. So
yeah.
uh, next question, and it's good. It's actually fortuitous that you have the image the way you've got it. Uh, like I'm gonna. I think I missed one. Okay, no, yes, I did. What is your primary replica and loadout? We actually skipped over one, and it's out of order, but it still works. Tell us about your primary and secondaries and stuff that you got behind you.
So my original primary was the G36 platform. I had a G36C and a G36K. I still have them to this day. They're up on the wall. And I've used them from the years of 2005 to 2010. And I used to use the actual G36 mags, the big fat German ones, and I built my gear around that. And then in 2010, I swapped over to the M series, and I purchased a GNP M4 Viper at the time. And again, it's still on the wall. And a year after that, I bought the GNP Sentry, still on the wall. And over time, I just never swapped out. Those were the two rifles that I stuck with. I always believed in having your primary rifle and a clone as a backup. And those are the gear. That's just the gear. I just revolve my gear set around that, and I just work that way. My loadout for my gear, I use a 511 what's the actual word for it? It is a 511 Tac, and I built the whole platform is based on M series mags, and it's decked out, has all the things I need on it, and that's my gear at the time. At this time,
I know your G36 has the M4 magwell in it now,
yep.
and you're using that primarily now when you go out and we play now, right?
Well, now I can swap between them. So now, because I never changed the mags, and they all take M series mags, it doesn't matter what gun I take now. All four of my AEGs could be a primary for that day.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Now this is an interesting question. We got some various different things from different people. What kind of camo types do you have? Now people answered this and they had like long answers, and one said, "Yeah, I got this. I got woodland." That was it, and that was the end of
Yep.
the conversation. So, what kind of camo types do you have?
I started airsofting with the basic M81 Woodland, and that was basically what I used for a long time until 2008 rolled around, and we had our first team vote for the camouflage that we would use as our uniform. And our vote, the vote that ended up winning was the digital urban subdued uniform, and that's between those two. That's all I have. I have digital subdued, and I have woodland.
Now,
So yep, I could only play on team green or team black.
that does the job, though. And I did a video story not too long ago about how we used to go in the digital subdued down to TFD or the Saints Field, and if Tan needed more people, we were always just selected right away to go on Tan because the digital subdued was so different of a camo than anybody else had. So
Yeah.
that was really nice. I like that. Um, this next question. I get a lot of different answers from different people, but what do you think about playing this time of year in the snow and the cold?
It's better than 90-degree weather. I actually prefer playing in this type of weather rather than hot. My body deals with it much better. When it's very hot, I slow down. It's hard to keep up. When I'm playing in the winter, when it's cold, even extreme cold, I'm kind of in my comfort zone.
Mm-hmm. That that's a good answer. We've got a lot of different ones from I love it to I hate it. So I'm like,
Yeah.
you're in the middle there.
Good.
All right. This one is about fields that you played at. What was your favorite field? And it could be past or present. It could be one that's still around or one that's gone. What was your
Yeah.
favorite field or fields?
By far my favorite field, even though, like I said, it was small, it's more nostalgic for me, was probably EAG, the one I first played at. I still remember all the nooks and crannies of that field. It wasn't very big, but it still had some good points to it. And that's probably the most memorable because I'll never go back to that field because it's no longer there. Another good field was CNC Cookies Chaos. I really enjoyed that field. It really kind of brought you back to that old school backyard airsoft field or feel when you just step on that field. It was basically the community that did it for you though. It was a good time there. My favorite field now that's still open is probably Zulu 24, mainly because it still gives me that EAG vibe where it's kind of they kind of like to stick to the meal sim aspect. It's, you know, show up on time, get pre-registered, make sure you're with your squad,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because that's what airsoft is to me. It's a team aspect, and you know, if you're lacking behind or you're late, you're affecting the team. So those are the kind of fields I tend to go to.
Now, we actually had one gentleman that said his favorite field that's no longer available was
Mm-hmm.
the Scranton Lace Factory.
Yeah,
That was his favorite field that's gone.
yeah, that I have good memories there. I've been there 3 times myself, and more of an event field. Basically, not open to the public on any other days other than when Lion Claws had an organized game there. But by far, the time I spent at the Scranton Lace Factory, those are the highlights of my airsoft career.
All right, thanks. Um, uh, now this one it continues on with the field type situation. What is the max distance you will travel to attend an event and or open play?
The max distance I think I've driven so far was probably 3 hours. Nothing too far considering what I know other people have traveled to. But yeah, 3 hours is probably the max for me, just because it's hard for me to do a stayover. I'm a family man myself,
Yeah.
and I don't like to be that far away from family in case of emergencies.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so far 3 hours. But you know, as I'm getting older, I like to stay kind of close to home.
Now, I'm I mentioned this to some other people on there, so I thought I'd bring it up in your video as well. I'm trying to talk to a guy that has a paintball field in Altoona. That's 2.5 hours to central Pennsylvania. Okay, they're starting to do airsoft. Last year they did it, but because of COVID, it was all, they didn't have a lot of games and stuff like that. But Altoona is like from my house 2.5 hours. Probably from your house, it's probably about the same distance. Uh, you
Mm,
know, I want to start doing a couple travels to this area, but like you, I don't want to go any farther than 3 hours. 3 hours might be the max distance for everything. Because
yeah, it's tough.
think about it, Kev. Would you want to drive 3 hours, play like 6, 8 hours, and then drive 3 hours home again? That's a long
Maybe in,
day. That's a long day.
maybe in my 20s I would.
um, this and following up on the field thing. When you go to a field, what turned you off the most when you're playing at a field that you like might not want to go back to, or just personally just turned you off for the day for that field?
The thing that turns me off most about any field would be participants getting angry. Yeah, it's easy to get angry in airsoft, and I get it. But you know, when you sign up and you get on the field, you should know what you're getting into and what's gonna happen or what could happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it has a lot to do with the participants that go. And like I said, getting angry on the field is probably the biggest turnoff for me for the field.
It
You
is,
know,
after all, a game. You're supposed to have
hmm
fun at a game. As long as you realize
yeah,
it's a game, everything's cool. But if you start taking it too serious, that's actually
yeah.
that's just no good. Okay, we're gonna move on to the next one. Your funniest or most memorable story in airsoft. Knock yourself out. Let's hear it.
All right. Well, I have one that comes to mind. It's memorable. It was again when at the Scranton Lace Factory when I had the majority of the team come out to that game with me, and I remember we were in the lower level of one of the buildings, so it was sub level. It was dark. It was wet. We were going through a lot of muck, and it was dingy, and the whole area around it. It just gave off this really cool, creepy feel. And we're going down a dark hallway, and I was taking lead. Draco was right behind me on my six, and I had a few guys following him. And we came up on this hallway. There was nothing on your right, and on the left-hand side there was just offices, single offices, like office after office. And we came onto the first office real slow, and I peeked through the window. There was a window and then a door. I peeked through the window, and I noticed there was 3 targets in the room, and they're all talking amongst themselves, so they didn't notice me or my team. And I'm pieing the window real slow, and try and negotiate 3 kills at as quickly as I could. And all of a sudden, Draco takes lead, pounces through the main door, and all I hear is his shotgun fire and rack and fire and rack and fire again. And all of a sudden, 3 guys of the enemy team come pouring out of the room, and I felt relief. I felt a little bit of shock, but it was just a really awesome experience at that time.
Well, one of the stories that I told was about me and you going to a field called the Quarry
Mm-hmm.
down there in Philadelphia, and I don't know if you remember this, because we were only by ourselves. We didn't have a team for this game. They made us
Mm-hmm.
sort of like recon, and I remember me and you were going off to the side, and we're going, and I remember thinking to myself, where are we going? Because you actually did a circle right back to the original team that we were on, and
Uh-huh.
we actually shot our own team.
It happens. that
Draco mentioned that too about TFD and going in front of you and getting shot all the time. So I'm like,
you
we pick on you a lot, but it's all in fun. We're not being
I,
serious with it.
I'm definitely cool with that because sometimes that's what happens in war or play war, right? Sometimes you get confused and you attack your own team.
Well, my last question I got for you is an opinion, and how long you think you still will be playing in airsoft in the future?
Uh, I'll play airsoft until it's not fun anymore, and that hasn't happened yet. I still have a lot of good friends in this game. I have a lot of old friends that left the game that I still talk to this day, and the body's still willing. So I'm gonna keep going as long as I could, like I said, until it's just not fun anymore.
Yep.
But there's no reason why now it's not fun. I mean, airsoft has survived quite a bit. It's been through a couple different evolutions in its time here in our local community, and it's still good. It survived the pandemic. At least it looks like it's surviving the pandemic. Everybody's still going out there and having a good time, and that's really what it's all about: going out there and having a good time. And as long as I'm still having fun doing it, I'll play it.
Awesome, awesome. One thing I want to say about I just want to make sure our audience, in case I forgot to do it in the beginning, Chip, and I did mention it, Chip is the squad CO of our team, the Patriots. Okay, I did have a video interview with Draco, the XO, on the team as well. But Chip is the main man in charge of the Patriots. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Thanks, you.
If we need, if anybody is the face of the Patriots, it's you. Okay,
Yeah.
and if like I hope to be playing with on the team with you for a long time. So I appreciate you coming out today. Well, coming out, listen to me, doing the video with me, and I had a good time. I hope you did too.
Thanks, Keeper. I did.
All right. Hey, I'm gonna end it like I always end it. I hope everybody enjoyed the video, and everybody out there, have a nice day. We'll see you, Kev.
Thanks. See you later.